since hauling their objectionable cargo from the village sty to this otherwise idyllic, flower-strewn meadow, neither horse had lifted its muzzle from the clover. The two of them together carried less flesh on their bones than Old Lao, and he was put together with sinew and spit. Besides, the bones would play havoc with the dragon's digestion. Lord Bai crossed his arms over his broad-scaled chest and shook his head.
It's against my religion.
Old Lao's eyebrows pushed the wrinkles on his forehead to the crown of his head.
Since when did you become a Buddhist? And what path permits you to eat an ox and not a horse?
Not Buddhist, Jewish.
The dragon lied.
It's very common where I come from.
And where is that exactly?
The dragon looped his tail in a vague westerly arc.
Very common.
He repeated, determined to regain control of the conversation.
My family views pigs as unclean, and we are prohibited from eating horse or pig or any animal which neither chews cud nor walks on cloven hoof.
And do those prohibitions cover people, I wonder?
Oh, people have lots of toes.
Lord Bai said silkily, although it had been years since he'd eaten one. Not even a nibble. Not even anyone who deserved it. He did miss the good old days sometimes. Lao stared reprovingly at the dragon. Lord Bai stared back, and his eyes were bigger than Lao's entire head. Lao snorted.
I never said you had to eat the pig, Lord Bai. Merely that it would be inconsiderate not to accept the gift in the spirit in which it was given.
Fine, fine. But if I don't eat it, what am I supposed to do with it? I am not placing my august personage anywhere near that stinking cart.
Far be it from me to suggest such a thing. I was thinking of a sacrifice, a burnt offering to the four emperors for the success of our journey. Would your Western gods object?
God, singular.
Lord Bai corrected absently, as he sifted the old man's words through his mind, lifting their corners and flipping them over to study them from behind. Try as he might, he couldn't see anything wrong with Lao's proposal. That was suspicious in and of itself. Knowing Lao, there had to be a catch somewhere.
I can't see any harm in it.
Lao nodded and led the horses to the muddy wallow the villagers swore was a road. He unhitched the horses and, after repeatedly smacking the nags' flea-bitten rumps, persuaded them to amble in the direction of home. Clambering over the wagon like a senescent monkey, he dispatched the pig with 2 quick thrusts of his knife and 1 precise slash, suggesting he knew more about butchering than he let on. This was confirmed in the dragon's mind by the way he tipped the pig and nimbly avoided the gush of blood which accompanied its collapse. While the blood yet steamed. And, to be fair, the animal smelled better from inside than from without. Lao took up his axe and began chopping the wagon's top and sides, stacking the disassembled pieces between the wheels. He hacked the floorboards until wagon and pig crashed into the piled wood, then he gutted the beast as economically as he butchered it.
What's called for here
He jerked when he recovered the power of speech.
is a quick blast of extreme heat to light the wood. Remove the hair and sear the skin. That will eliminate the odor you find so offensive. Then we can proceed with the roasting. I would recommend the same method we used on the yak in Tibet.
Wasn't this supposed to be an offering?
The gods can share.
Better them than me.
Lord Bai muttered. Old Lao's knobby face split into a snaggletooth grin of undiluted bliss. The first flash of dragon fire indeed eliminated the stink of the sty by replacing it with a stench of burning hair. Lord Bai was quite certain his nasal cavities would never recover. But over the course of the day, as the wood reduced to cinders and the skin of the pig crackled and caramelized, releasing the delectable aroma of roasting flesh, he began to share some of his companion's excitement.
Pickled tongue, braised cheek, crispy ears.
The old man chanted under his breath.
Braised shoulder, rib roast, blade roast, over-crusted loin, hanging barbecue spare ribs.
He crooned. In spite of himself, Lord Bai started to salivate.
Infused bacon.
But his sensitive nostrils assured him that the meat had not yet reached the proper doneness for a gourmet of his discernment.
Glazed ham, boiled ham, tail stew, ox with cabbage.
We don't have any cabbage.
Lord Bai pointed out. Lao smacked him with the flat of his knife.
Cabbage we can get. Don't interrupt me. You don't want me to overcook this, do you?
The dragon shook his head. It was getting hard to speak around the puddling drool. Lao flashed a superior smile.
Savory pork, 5. Spice pork, pork and noodles, pork dumplings, pot stickers, mushu pork, red cooked pork belly.
The old man's voice rose through his litany until he was practically shouting. He elbowed an inconvenient length of dragon aside.
Now put the fire out, will you? I have to test for doneness.
Following the old man's instructions, as if in a trance, Lord Bai exhaled a blast of air, extinguishing the flames in an instant. Lao hopped from foot to foot, counting backwards from 500 to allow the meat to rest. Lord Bai thought he would die of longing before the old man reached 1. Lao scored the top of the ham and raised a slice of quivering, succulent, juicy, aromatic flesh like a battle trophy. He waved it in front of his nose.
Smells like...
Smells like...
Lord Bai echoed, his coils twisting and writhing in a frenzy of desire.
Smells like...
The old reprobate repeated, his grin yet wider and more manic than before.
Smells like...
The dragon moaned, his yearning shaking the leaves of distant trees. His body quivered, his claws fisted as tight as his talons would allow.
Bacon.
People!
The dragon caroled.
People, 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 people! It's been so long since I've had people.
With a single swipe of his extended claw, he detached the nearest ham and fell upon it like a ravening tiger. Well, he wasn't a greedy dragon, though. Oh, no. There was more than enough left for a second helping, or a 5th, or a 6th, for his dear, dear friend and fellow traveler, who, for some peculiar reason, appeared to have lost his appetite. Huh. Humans. They defied all understanding. The end.